She fired me. In front of everyone. No meeting, no warning. Just a cold voice. And the words, "You're no longer needed." I didn't flinch. Didn't blink. Didn't even stand up right away. I just looked at the team I'd built. The same people I'd hired, trained, defended, fought for. And I said, "Good luck with the Hollowtech pitch on Friday." That's all. Then I stood up, grabbed my coffee mug, and walked out of the only office I'd ever called home. She thought that was the end. Thought she'd won. Thought I'd disappear quietly. But here's the thing. Some people fight with fists, some with lawyers. I fight with silence. Because I didn't need to ruin her. She'd already done that herself. She just didn't know it yet. But she would. Friday morning, 10:00 a.m. sharp, when the biggest client of the year walked in asking for me. And she realized she had nothing. No answers, no backup, no clue what she'd actually destroyed. This is not a story about screaming or revenge through rage. It's about patience, about letting people sink in the hole they dug for you. If you've ever been wronged, humiliated, pushed aside by someone who thought you were replaceable, stay. This story is for you. And if you want more stories like this, stick around. Subscribe. Because sometimes the most satisfying revenge is doing absolutely nothing and letting karma handle the rest. My name is David Parker. I'm 49 years old. And until last week, I was Senior Client Director at Genixa Labs Chicago. 15 years. That's how long I built bridges between chaos and clarity, between biotech complexity and real human trust. I started with nothing, fresh out of college, no fancy MBA, just grit, curiosity, and a hunger to earn respect the hard way. By 32, I was leading global accounts. By 38, I was the guy they called when everything was falling apart, and they needed someone who knew how to hold it together. My clients didn't stay because of our product. They stayed because of how I listened, because I remembered their daughter's name, because I answered calls at midnight and showed up on Sundays when everyone else sent excuses. I trained my team the same way. Tina, Sam, Michelle, not just employees, they were my legacy. We didn't hit numbers. We built relationships, real ones. That kept Genixa alive when competitors folded. And all of that was gone in 45 seconds. Because someone new, someone younger, louder, and more efficient thought experience was obsolete. She didn't know what I'd built. She just saw an empty office and assumed it meant nothing. But here's the truth. Some legacies don't disappear. They wait. For the moment, someone realizes what they've lost. And by then, it's already too late. Her name was Amanda Reeves, 34, MBA from Wharton. Hired by the board with one mission: modernize client operations. She wore confidence like a weapon. Every sentence ended in metrics. Every meeting, a performance. Slick, loud, controlled. The first time she walked into my office, she didn't ask what we did. She asked what we could cut. Efficiency is profitability, she said. Legacy systems drag us down. To her, people were processes. Relationships were replaceable. Experience was just overhead. She asked for my CRM access, then reorganized everything without telling me. She rewrote my client plans, called my top accounts without copying me in, promised things she didn't understand to people I'd spent years building trust with. At first, I tried to help. I spent an entire weekend building a custom training deck, client behavior, procurement psychology, regulatory quirks, personal preferences. She glanced at it once, then said, "Too time intensive. I have my own approach." She didn't just ignore what I knew. She dismissed why it mattered. Every time I raised a concern, she smiled. "Don't worry, David. I've got this." But she didn't. She was playing chess on a board she didn't understand and moving pieces she couldn't name. She didn't see the cracks forming, didn't hear the tone in Tina's voice, didn't notice the clients growing colder. But I did, and I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was watching and waiting. Because when someone thinks they're the smartest person in the room, they rarely look at who's holding the door. It happened on a Wednesday, 9:03 a.m. team meeting. Everyone was there. Tina, Sam, the interns, even 2 execs dialing in. Amanda stood at the front of the room, arms crossed, lips tight. She didn't ask to speak with me privately, didn't ask for HR, didn't even make eye contact until the very last second. Then she said it. Effective immediately. David is no longer with Janixa. That was it. No explanation, no transition plan, no thank you for 15 years. Just cold. I looked around the table. No one moved. Even the interns froze. Tina blinked twice, lips parting slightly like she might say something, then didn't. Sam stared at his notebook, white-knuckled. And me. I didn't flinch. I didn't argue. Didn't ask why. Didn't give her the satisfaction. I reached for my coffee, took a sip, then looked at Amanda and smiled. I hope the Hollowtech pitch goes well on Friday, I said. She frowned, confused. What do you mean? I stood up, straightened my jacket. Don't worry, I said. You'll figure it out. And I walked out, not because I was defeated, not because I gave up, but because some exits speak louder than any argument. And the silence I left behind, it said everything I didn't have to. I walked to my office. No one followed. No one dared. The hallway felt longer that morning, or maybe just heavier. I opened the door, took a breath, then reached for the 2 cardboard boxes I kept under the cabinet. I'd always hoped I'd never need them, but I kept them anyway, because after 15 years, you learn. You learn that loyalty doesn't always get returned, that politics beats performance, that sometimes the knife in your back wears a name tag. I started packing. Family photo, desk plant, the mug from Casey World's Best Dad, awards no one cared about anymore, printouts of product launches I'd spearheaded, and then my notebook. Leather-bound, edges worn, inside years of notes, specs, insights called preferences, calibration shortcuts. Not digitized, not backed up, just mine. Amanda stepped in, stood in the doorway like she wasn't sure if she should speak. She opened her mouth, then closed it. David, about the Hollowtech account, not my problem anymore. I sealed the first box, taped it shut, didn't even look at her. She lingered, then left. And as I placed the notebook gently in the second box, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel fear. I felt still, focused, because when someone kicks you out of your own house, they forget one thing. You still hold the blueprint. They came by one. Tina was first. She stood just inside the doorway. Didn't say much, just looked at the boxes. Her eyes were red, not from crying, from holding it in. This isn't right, she whispered. I nodded, didn't say anything. What could I say? We both knew. Then came Sam. He gave me a firm handshake, then pulled me in. You taught me everything, he muttered. I don't know what happens now. You'll figure it out, I said. You're better than you think. Michelle lingered longest. Quiet, torn, guilt all over her face. You always had our backs, she said. I smiled. You still have mine. No one raised their voice. No one made a scene. But you could feel it. In the way they hesitated at the door. In the silence that followed each goodbye. In the heaviness they left behind. Because this wasn't just about a man losing his job. It was about trust, being broken in front of them. About fear knowing it could be them next. About loyalty, wondering if it ever really mattered. And me. I didn't beg. Didn't try to rally them. They knew who I was, what I stood for, what I built. I didn't need to say anything. And neither did they. Because sometimes the loudest protest is the quiet that follows a betrayal. The truth. I saw it coming. Not the timing, not the setting, but the intent. Crystal clear. Amanda never wanted to lead with me. She wanted to lead over me. From the day she arrived, she questioned everything. Not to understand, but to discredit. She scheduled meetings I wasn't invited to, changed client roadmaps without consulting, told upper management I was stuck in legacy thinking. She thought she was being subtle, but I've been in this game too long, so I did what I always do. I documented every change she made, every inconsistency, every time she promised clients things I'd advised against, then blamed me when they pushed back. I kept a clean record, printed emails, meeting notes, screenshots, not because I wanted revenge, but because I knew when the fall came, they'd try to make it look like I slipped. So I planned. I built backup copies of specs in my notebook, rechecked my employment contract every clause, made sure every asset I took home was personal property. I didn't want war, but I wasn't walking blind into one either. Because if you've spent 15 years building trust-protecting clients, Training a team that runs like clockwork, you don't go down unprepared. You go quiet, you go focused, and when they push you out, you wait and let the cracks form on their side of the wall. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from regret, not from anger. Anticipation. I sat at the kitchen table, lights low, laptop open. My wife Rachel walked in around 1:30 a.m. She looked at the coffee, then at me. "You're planning something," she said. I smiled. "Not exactly. I'm just letting things unfold." She nodded. Didn't press. 20 years together had taught her when to ask questions and when to just wait. That's when the phone buzzed. Voicemail. Amanda. "Hey David, quick question about the Hollowtech deck. Could you give me a call when you see this?" Buzz. Another one. "Hey, it's Amanda again. There's some confusion on the specs. If you could point me in the right direction, that'd be great." Buzz. Third time, sorry. It's late, I know. Just, if you could send over what you had, that'd help. I didn't answer, didn't even listen to the rest. She wasn't calling me. She was calling the person she thought I was: predictable, accommodating, still under her thumb. But I wasn't that person anymore. I closed the laptop, poured another cup, looked at Rachel. "She's panicking," I said. Rachel smiled. She should be, because by this point, it wasn't about a presentation. It was about realizing she'd fired the only person who actually knew what was coming. Friday morning, 9:47 a.m. I was sitting at a small coffee shop downtown. Same table I always used when I needed clarity. Strong Wi-Fi, no distractions. Phone buzzed. Amanda, again. I let it go to voicemail. Then came another, then another. At 10:15, she'd called 7 times. At 10:23, Tina called. "David, where are you?" "I'm at Brew and Bean." "Hollowtech's here." "Amanda's freaking out." "What's the problem?" "She can't find the sensor calibration specs. They're asking for you by name." I sipped my coffee. "They're in the system," I said. "No, she says the technical folder is empty. Just basic contacts and a few slides." "That's because the real specs," I paused, "were never digitized." Silence. "You mean they're in my notebook, Tina? The blue one. The one I took home." Tina let out a quiet breath. "They're asking specific questions about sequencing tolerances, prototype behavior under thermal stress?" "Yeah," I said. "They would." That presentation took 8 months to build. Amanda had the servers. She had the access. She even had the templates. But what she didn't have was context, experience, the human layer that no AI, no software, no optimization can replicate. Because in biotech, trust isn't just built in data, it's built in memory. And she'd fired the only person who remembered everything. The sun hit just right through the coffee shop window. Steam rose from my second cup. The city buzzed outside. My phone lit up again. Marcus, Janixa's CEO. Voicemail. Then a text. "David, please call me. Urgent." I didn't. At 11:12, Tina texted again. Hollowtech just walked out. Gave Amanda 20 minutes to deliver specs. She couldn't. Another message. CTO looked her dead in the eye and said this meeting was a waste of time. I stirred my coffee, didn't smile, didn't cheer. I just watched the fall, like watching a building collapse. One that you warned them had no foundation. 11:30. Phone buzzed again. "David, we need you to come in. This can be fixed." That was Marcus again. I replied I was terminated. Effective immediately. He pushed, "We'll hire you back." Consultant. Name your rate. Not available, because some bridges you don't rebuild. You let them burn so they never forget what kept it standing. Amanda thought she'd won when she cleared out my desk. She didn't realize she'd also cleared out the only mind that knew how to keep $30 million in play. And now she was standing in a boardroom with nothing but bullet points and a team that didn't trust her. Meanwhile, I was sipping coffee, taking calls from competitors who actually valued what I knew. By noon, it was official. Hollowtech had left the building. No pitch, no second chances. 20 minutes. That's all they gave Amanda. Because when a $30 million contract is on the table, you don't get to wing it. Tina texted again. "David CTO asked for you directly. Said no one else had earned their trust." I replied, "Wish I could help." And I meant that, but not because I wanted to, because by then it was already over. Amanda had 3 things in that meeting: a blank slide deck, an empty technical folder, and a team that knew she had no idea what she was doing. By 12:15, my phone rang again. This time it wasn't Janixa. It was Driftline Biotech, a competitor. David, we heard about the Hollowtech fallout. You available? I smiled. I just might be. See, Amanda never understood. Trust isn't built with credentials. It's built with repetition. Late night calls, tense negotiations, fixing things quietly before they explode. And in 8 months, I'd built Hollowtech something airtight. Specs, prototypes, workflow timing, even lunch preferences of their CTO. It was all in my notebook, all in my head. And now, it was leaving with me, not out of revenge, but out of respect, for the years I gave, for the loyalty they tossed aside, for the lesson they had to learn the hard way. 1:45 p.m. Phone buzzed. Marcus, again. This time I picked up. David, listen, we made a mistake. I didn't respond. He rushed on. Amanda, she wasn't ready. She overpromised. We need someone who understands the clients. And what do you want from me? Come back. We'll match your previous salary. Give you control of client relations. Title flexibility, whatever you need. I took a breath, then said, I'm not your employee anymore. Silence. Then consultant then. Name your rate. You built Hollowtech. Only you can save it. I looked at the job offer on my laptop. Driftline. 25% salary bump. Equity. And something Amanda never offered. Respect. Not interested, I said. You can't do this, David. I didn't do anything, Marcus. You did. When you let her walk in, ignore every red flag, and throw away 15 years in 45 seconds. He exhaled. Defeated. You were the foundation, and we tore it out. Exactly. Because what they never understood was this: loyalty isn't just about staying. It's about being treated like you matter while you do. And once that's gone, you don't get it back. You can offer titles, money, even apologies, but you can't fix what you chose to break. Not when the person you broke it with already built something better. That weekend, my phone didn't stop buzzing. But not from Janixa. From them. Tina, Sam, even Michelle. All asking the same thing. Are you really not coming back? I told them the truth. I moved on. And maybe you should too. Tina texted first. Marcus offered me your old position, but after what I saw, I can't say yes. Sam called. I've got offers. Smaller companies, better culture. But I go where you go, David. You built this team. That hit me harder than I expected. Because in corporate war, collateral damage isn't numbers. It's people. The ones who stayed late, who covered calls at midnight, who defended decisions they didn't make because they believed in you. And now, they were standing in smoke, trying to decide which side to breathe from. I couldn't tell them what to do, but I could open a door. So I did. By Monday, I'd connected 3 of them to Driftline's hiring team. Not with recommendations, with truth. This one, she'll hold a client together under pressure. That one never missed a compliance detail in 5 years. It wasn't revenge. It was redemption. For them, for what we built, for the culture Amanda tried to erase. Because in the end, you don't burn the building. You outgrow it. And when your people follow you, that's not ego. That's proof that everything you built was real. Tuesday morning. Email from Driftline CEO. Subject line, Hollowtech signed. $30 million. You did it. I stared at it for a second. Let it sink in. The same client Amanda had fumbled. The same pitch she couldn't deliver, now ours. Official. Locked in. Transferred. Driftline had become the new vendor of record for Hollowtech systems. And I senior director, project lead. Just 6 days earlier, Amanda was standing in a boardroom promising results she couldn't explain. Now her failure had become my foundation. Tina texted, You really took them? No, I replied. They came to me. That was the difference. I didn't steal. I didn't sabotage. I stood still and let the fallout find its gravity. By Wednesday, Janix's stock dropped 4%. By Thursday, they'd lost 2 more mid-tier contracts. Rumors of restructuring swirled. And Amanda, silent, gone from LinkedIn. No more buzzwords. No more innovation. Just absence. Driftline, meanwhile, doubled its client inquiries in a week. 3 new biotech partnerships. And 2 of my former teammates now had desks down the hall. We didn't talk about revenge. We talked about building. Because the best way to destroy a broken system is to succeed without it. No noise, no flame, just results. And if they asked how we did it, we'd tell them we didn't fight back, we just moved forward. 6 months later, I was sitting in a glass conference room overlooking the skyline. Driftline had just acquired 3 boutique consulting firms. Our team tripled in size, twice the revenue, zero chaos. Tina was now head of strategic ops. Sam ran the compliance unit. People who once watched Amanda drown a system now building one that worked. No panic, no politics, just performance. A message buzzed in from an old Janixa client. David, your new team is sharper than ever. Wish Janixa realized what they had. I leaned back in the chair. No grin, no victory lap, just peace. Because when Amanda tried to erase me, she erased the one thing she could never replicate. Consistency. They wanted disruption, they got it. But some things don't need to be reinvented. They just need to be respected. Marcus called last week, again, offering more money, more control. I didn't take the call. Not out of anger, but because some bridges, when they burn, they light the path to something better. And now, every morning I walk into Driftline. There's no bitterness, only clarity. Because the best revenge isn't an explosion. It's the silence after you've proven they were wrong to ever let you go. Friday afternoon, I got a call from Hollowtech's CEO. We just wrapped the first quarter. Flawless integration. Your team's a different breed, David. I thanked him, hung up, and just sat there, looking out the office window at a city that once felt so far above me. Now, we were shaping it, brick by brick, not with buzzwords, but with real work. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't work. It was my daughter. Dad, guess what my business professor used your story in class? Called it the Janixa mistake. I laughed, half proud, half stunned. Sometimes you don't realize the size of a moment until someone else tells it back to you. And in that moment, I knew something for certain. Getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I'd stopped settling, stopped tolerating being undervalued, stopped thinking loyalty would protect me. And the people who stayed behind, they're still learning the hard way that replacing wisdom with arrogance costs more than any salary ever will. I didn't just find a new job. I found my worth. And Amanda, she faded into the noise. Because when history is written, it's not about who screamed the loudest. It's about who built the next chapter. And I'm just getting started.